Hey everyone, it's great to welcome you to the Maker Stage. If you haven't swung by yet, my name is Jenny Xie, and I'm a writer and editor on Figma's Story Studio team. I'm so pleased to introduce our next speakers, Lauren Madura and Michael Winnick, who will show us how to use Dscout's AI-powered research suite so the speed of learning from and about your users can match the speed of building. How do product teams make decisions quickly and confidently? We're about to find out. Please give it up for Lauren and Michael.
Okay, great to see everybody. We are really excited to be back at Config for our third year. So I'm joined by my partner in crime, Lauren, over here. And I would say that so much has I'm just going to fill you in on a little secret. Like a lot has kind of changed in the last year, right? You guys feel that? Certainly has been true at Dscout. We've been able to create so much that we are excited to share with you. Lauren will be leading you through a lot of the things that we've built that we think will really empower designers with the power of high fidelity feedback. But before we get into that, I'm going to do a very UX and researchy thing and talk a little bit about the why behind the what, the things that we're going to show you. So we'll hop right into that. And what I'd like to kind of start with is this concept of probably one of the biggest changes of the last year has been this thing which shocks me in my career that I will actually say, and most of us will believe, which is code has kind of become cheap. Right? Code used to be the most expensive thing and the thing that was so precious, right? And that's changed dramatically as these tools enable so many more of us to make and build. And you might think in that world that, hey, now that code is cheap, we don't really need to do a lot of discovery work. We don't need to do a lot of research. We don't need a lot of feedback because we just build. How many of you been in a meeting lately where everyone's like, ship it? I feel like every meeting, ship it, right? It's just like this thing that everybody does. But the reality is, I want to kind of make the argument that a quite opposite argument that high fidelity feedback, getting informed about your users and your audience is really more important than ever. So don't take my word for it. Yuki Yamashita wrote a great blog piece just a week or two ago. And Yuki really kind of raises this question, which is, hey, it's no longer just how to build or we can all build quickly. It's we really need to start thinking about what is worth building at all. And Yuki talked about these three areas: speed, craft, and direction. And I'm going to just talk for a few minutes about why I think access to high fidelity feedback loops is critical for you to achieve all of these things. So let's kind of start with maybe the one that seems the furthest apart. And you might be like, what? Craft? What does that have to do with craft, right? Craft has long been the word, as we've heard in many of the AI stories. Like, we've got to hold on to craft. Craft is our thing. And I think craft is certainly critical. But let's talk a little bit about what craft actually is, right? Certainly, as we heard today, and as so many people in this room probably know and are quite qualified to do, craft is the skill of making masterfully, for sure. And there were so many cool things shared today for masterful making. I cannot wait to see what designers do with those things. I didn't even know what a shader was. I was like, wow, that's amazing, right? So that's certainly a big part of it. But I would argue that equally important to the incredible skill of craft is really the art of resonating deeply. Few of us are just making things for ourselves last time I checked. We're always making for an audience, right? And the real masterful designers have a deep, intuitive sense of who they're making for. But there is a risk here, and I think you'll probably all recognize it. With AI, it is very easy to get high off your own supply, right? It's very easy to kind of be like, well, this is good. And certainly Claude is gassing you up all the time about how brilliant your directions are, right? It's really easy to mistake that for actually real signal and really the things that you need to tune your understanding of what resonance is. So let's hop to direction. Direction, conviction, being sure-footed. These have always been important to building a great company and great experiences. Maybe even more importantly, knowing what you stand for. But maybe even deeper than that, knowing what you don't do, what you won't do, right? So this sense of conviction's always been critical. And now, of course, it's really, really critically important, maybe more important than ever, but I would argue it's actually much harder, much more difficult to achieve that now. Why is that the case? Of course, we're all makers now, right? And all of our engineering partners are now product thinkers and designers, right? So we have many more makers, and we have so many more decision makers now, right? Because as you know, what is design at its essence? It's not the application of craft. It's actually hundreds or thousands of decisions that you're making to inform what an experience should be, right? So we have many more decision makers, and we're creating a lot more. So how many people in your company feel like you might have like a POC glut? Proof of concepts everywhere, demo stuff, right? All over the place, right? We can just make so much, it's great. Super exciting, but it does create this paradox of choice challenge, right? Of like, there's so many things we could do. What should we do? How do we get aligned across our team to go do those things, right? So we have many more makers, many more decisions to make. And I'm going to kind of quote another pretty well-known builder, Boris Cherny, the kind of creator of Claude Code, right? Where their key for getting that signal, figuring out what they should do, is this kind of ongoing, voluminous, high-fidelity feedback from their users. At the end of the day, the single best signal for that is just feedback from users, right? So direction goes hand in hand with your ability to get feedback. Now we're going to kind of hit speed. Speed is kind of maybe one of the hardest parts, and we're going to be talking a lot about it. Newsflash, things are moving pretty fast. So I hear. But maybe you all do. I certainly feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride. It's not exactly what I signed up for, like the ups and the downs and like, the crashing and back up. That's what I think a lot of being in this world with such fast-moving technology feels like. And what that kind of means is that we really are experiencing this sense that our products are kind of falling in and out of fit much more quickly than we're used to. Right? So this used to be this concept of like a product would find fit and then be stable for years, right? And then it was like, yeah, maybe a year or two. Now it feels like it's minutes, right? Just this constant shifting. And we think it's kind of being replaced with a different concept, which is product market fit doesn't make sense anymore in our world. We're now living in a world where the driving concept is really product market flow. How able are you to be agile and move and fit with the flow of the market and how the market is changing? So I can say all these fine conceptual things, but here's the dilemma, and the dilemma that we at Dscout spend a lot of time thinking about, and Lauren is going to share our approach to how we solve this, which is how can we get the speed of learning to match this incredible new speed of building? Because ultimately our ability to iterate is only so good as the feedback that we can kind of bring back into our system. So Lauren, you got the hard part. Take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, designers. My name is Lauren Madura, and I'm the Director of Product Design here at Dscout. And I'm thrilled to share with you what we've been building to address the dilemma that Michael outlined here. How will the speed of learning match the new speed of building? At Dscout, we're building faster than ever before. I'm sure many of you can relate. And as Michael articulated, research is more important than ever. But it has to happen a lot faster. And that's why we built Dscout AI Studio. Dscout AI Studio is a suite of 4 tools: Draft Your Study, Explore Your Data, AI Moderation, and our new MCP server, designed to help all of the builders on your team run research at the pace that product development now demands. These are the 5 principles that informed our approach to designing Dscout AI Studio, and I'm going to walk you through them one by one. The first is confident research without the PhD. When I talk to designers and design leaders, the thing I hear again and again is, I wish we were running more research. Raise your hand if you wish you and your team were running more research. That's what I thought. And I don't think it's desire that gets in the way, because the thing that I hear is, I wish we were talking to customers more frequently. I wish we were closer to the needs, wants, and desires of our customers, right? I think what gets in our way is both time and confidence. If I don't have, in my tight schedule, time to build a study and get research out the door that I feel confident is going to move the needle for my team and help answer the questions we need to move forward, I start to wonder if it's worth doing it all. With Dscout AI Studio, all you need are your learning objectives and a link to whatever you're testing, in this case, a Figma prototype, but it could be a website or a concept. And AI is going to crawl your prototype to understand it and use that context, along with your learning objectives, to guide you through a series of decisions to build a really solid study. In just a minute here, it's going to prompt me to bump up my N size. So I've got PhD level expertise and over a decade of real UX experience from Dscout guiding me along the way as I build this study. So that ensures that every builder who's running research can get the clarity they need without having to slow down. All right, our next one is governance without bureaucracy. So when any builder on a team or across an organization can build research, the question eventually becomes, how do we ensure that our particular flavor of best practices, the standards that our organization has, are upheld and adhered to? That's where AI templates come into play. So I'm going to walk you through AI Studio templates, which give design leaders the ability to build research that meets their standards and specifications for a particular method or use case, and use that as the required vehicle for research. The old way of doing this was with documents that were hard to maintain, Notion hubs, research office hours, really lengthy review and approval processes, things that are impossible to maintain and end up just slowing our teams down. The experience for folks running research is really simple. All I have to do is enter my research objective, and AI is going to surface the templates that are available to me. In this case, I can mix and match a screener template to capture a particular audience with my study template, and the AI is going to go ahead and combine these into a single study for me. And then it's going to surface all of the things in this template that I can update. In this case, I am able to update my URL for my task. So I'm going to go ahead and add the appropriate link to my prototype. And I'm going to go back and forth a few more times. After a bit more prompting, I've got a study that's ready to launch. These aren't just regular templates. They're not a starting point. They give your teams the freedom to run research without guardrails getting in the way. All right. Our third principle is fielding with less friction. So up until this point, we've talked about building research. Now let's talk about running the research with participants. In order for learning to match the new speed of building, you need to be able to get that rich, qualitative data that you would get in an interview or a conversation at scale. And that's where AI moderation comes into play. This is what our AI moderation experience looks like for participants. And I'm able to have a fully recorded session that is both structured and dynamic with my participants. AI is able to make judgment calls to probe deeper or follow a thread. And it's able to do all of this without me needing to be in the room. What's really powerful, of course, is that I can run these sessions in parallel with hundreds, even thousands of participants all over the world, even in different languages. I can tell you that what's really exciting about this to me, having spent a lot of time with these sessions from our participants, is how open and vulnerable and candid our participants are in these sessions. It's pretty remarkable. It was surprising to me because you would think, well, perhaps when people are talking to a bot, they share in a less interesting way. But we found the opposite to be true. So I think there's a ton of potential with AI moderation. I think it's a really, really exciting new frontier. But of course, then the challenge is that we've generated a ton of data, and now we have to deal with this data so that we can make decisions and keep our teams moving forward. So that brings me to our fourth principle, which is communicate with your data. It's all been fun and games to this point, but now we've got a lot of data. We've got to pull out the story, we've got to draw out the meaning, we've got to decide what to do with this data, what it means, and how we're going to make decisions based off of it. So we've built two things to help you do just this. The first is a conversational interface where you can talk to your data the same way you talk to a colleague. You can ask it things like, what's impacting feature adoption? You can have it draw out quotes that highlight top pain points. AI is doing all of the heavy lifting, and everything links back to the raw source. The next thing we've built is different, and you'll see it in just a moment. We call it Spotlight. Spotlight is designed to give you an immersive experience with your data. What would otherwise take many, many, many hours to sit and watch each session individually is compressed into an experience where AI has flagged and curated a collection of moments that I can sit with, have an immersive experience with my data, and feel connected to the humans behind my data. And last but not least, we've got our fifth and final principle, which is high-fidelity feedback where the work happens. Thanks to tools like Figma Make and Claude Code, we're able to bring our ideas to life in coded prototypes faster than ever before. And that's why we've added the newest addition to Dscout AI Studio, which is our Dscout MCP server in beta today, officially. And I'm going to walk you through an example of how our MCP server works inside of Figma Make. So I've got a prototype here that I built in Figma Make. This is called Quiet Friends. And it's a redesign that I've been working on and for my e-commerce plant store. And I'm curious how this is going to resonate with my users. We've got a couple of core workflows to pick out a plant that meets your specifications, add it to cart and checkout. And I want to make sure that this redesign helps meet users' needs as they complete those workflows. So inside of Figma Make, I'm going to invoke the Dscout MCP connector using @Dscout. And I'm just going to ask it to build a usability test for me. The Dscout MCP server is going to build a Dscout usability test that's ready to launch right from Figma Make without ever having to go into the core platform. After I start collecting feedback, I'm able to once again invoke Dscout, ask it to bring all that feedback in, summarize it for me, and then I can have Figma Make iterate on this version of my prototype based on all of that user feedback that I've just collected. This is the feedback loop. This is build, test, learn, iterate, all happening in one place where the design work is already happening. That's AI Studio. So all of the tools that the builders on your teams need to run research and put those insights to work faster than ever before so that the pace of learning can match the new pace of building. Thank you so much. We're Dscout. We've got a booth located right over here in the Maker ecosystem. Please stop by. Some would argue we've got the best swag at Config, so we'd love to see you over there. And if you're interested in learning more about Dscout AI Studio, we've got a QR code here. You can go ahead and scan it, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.